Welcome back to another episode of The New World, ladies and gentlemen. We are back with another discussion on a man out in New York. Some may say he's a spy or even a terrorist with how bad he is destroying New York. So, in light of Aaron Rodgers' recent remarks, it's time we revisit the topic of the future Hall of Fame quarterback, as the Jets are now 3-10 and very far from where they and a lot of people imagine them being this season. But before we hop into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button as we are on the road to 10K subs, turn on those notifications, and stay tuned for more content, and comment your thoughts on the Jets this season and how much of a factor Aaron Rodgers had to play in that role. Fellas, what are your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers' recent actions and what accountability should he take as the leader of this team?
This is a very, very interesting conversation. It's kind of hard to take ownership and accountability as the leader of a football team when there are only 4 games left in the season. We're 13 games in. This will not only go down as the final season of Aaron Rodgers' career, but it will also go down in the history books as one of the biggest shit shows in professional sports and maybe even modern history. Fellas, we have several things that we need to break down in terms of this conversation, but let's kind of ease into the subject because I have a pretty good feeling that 3 of us will be annihilating Aaron Rodgers throughout the course of this video. So 1, Aaron Rodgers, he is 41 years old. And 2, he did tear his Achilles in the very first game of the 2023 NFL season. And additionally, I don't know if you guys were aware, but Aaron Rodgers did state that he initially thought his career was over when he suffered that grueling injury. So you can decide if you want to believe him or not, because he is a notorious habitual liar, but these are the facts of what he stated. Having said that, Aaron Rodgers has been terrible, and that could probably be considered an understatement. He's probably been one of the worst 3 quarterbacks in the NFL this season. Outside of Deshaun Watson, he may be one of the worst leaders in sports. And due to his putrid performance and a lack of leadership, he has placed the New York Jets in one of the worst positions as a franchise can be in this league. Rivaling them would probably be the Cleveland Browns. Now, before we get into the stats, I do want to congratulate Mr. Aaron Rodgers on a very remarkable accomplishment that he achieved. I don't think that the avid football watchers have given him credit for this, but just this past weekend, Aaron Rodgers did throw for 300 yards in the game for the first time since December 12th, 2021. And ladies and gentlemen, that is roughly 3 years, so 1,092 calendar days. 1,092 calendar days since this man has thrown for 300 yards. This man has disgraced his legacy. I don't ever want to hear this statement again. Oh, Aaron Rodgers, he may not be the GOAT, but he's the greatest thrower of the football. Who cares? Who really cares? I've heard that it seems like that's kind of been the excuse for him. I don't care, because he's the greatest thrower of football ever, and you have 1 Super Bowl victory. 1. The Jets are 3-10 on the season, and let's all give our most sincere apologies to Zach Wilson, because last year this team was at least competitive. They won 7 games last year with Zach Wilson as the quarterback. You mean to tell me that the greatest thrower of the football can't outplay Zach Wilson? We're just asking you to outplay Zach Wilson, sir. Are you kidding me? So, Aaron Rodgers needs to retire yesterday. I don't really know what the holdup is. I think that he's honestly addicted to all the attention and the spotlight that he's getting, because at this point, his anemic play is keeping him relevant. If you really think about it, all of the news cycles when they're talking about the New York Jets, we're talking about how bad they are. Like, we're talking about this man every single week because the team continues to lose, he continues to be awful, and we continue to get entertainment, not from the games, but from his antics, the post-game pressers, and his ridiculous comments. I don't want to hear anything about the media. Aaron Rodgers, sir, you are now a part of the media. You're going on Pat McAfee's platform every single week to talk about the game. What are you talking about, sir? His arrogance is honestly astonishing, how someone who is the problem. Like, when we talk about the Jets, we can't talk about the team because the team is relatively the same as it was last year. We have to talk about him. He has been shitting the bed on every single level throughout the course of this season, and he's going to fix his mouth to say, oh, guys got to be accountable. There are 11 guys on the field. Stop that shit. Like, just stop. And then the documentary? You know what? I'm gonna pass it on to Buffy.
Yeah, I believe that Aaron Rodgers, I will say this though, he is washed. There's no doubt about that. He's not a real good quarterback to me. I don't even think he's above average at this point. If I rank him according to like the starting 32 quarterbacks in the league, he would definitely be in the bottom, almost a third. He'll be like kind of around the 20 to 30 range in my opinion. But I will say this about Aaron Rodgers. I think this gets overlooked because we just look at the one Super Bowl. I honestly, if I look back at it, Aaron Rodgers and all his postseason runs up until 2018, Aaron Rodgers has not only been let down kind of by his defense, he's also been let down by multiple other factors that really can't control. Now, I will say this though, it takes more to winning the Super Bowl than having a great quarterback. I'm not trying to make excuses for Aaron Rodgers, but when your defense is giving up 35 plus points per game in the postseason from his rookie season all the way up to 2018, 2019, it's not really your problem. And when you're putting up similar numbers and y'all scoring as many points as that, and not only that, in the games he didn't perform, he led game tying drives, and in the fourth quarter just to not get the ball back in overtime. So I can't really fault Aaron Rodgers for his postseason play before 2019 because it really wasn't even that bad. He was really a great quarterback before then, but now he's a terrible quarterback. He's honestly not good. He had a play the other night where he missed Garrett Wilson on the it may have been a double route or a fade route. He missed him, and then the next play he throws a pick six to a defensive tackle, 300 pounds. You can't do that. And Aaron Rodgers, he has just looked anemic in the offense. He can't move anymore. If you get pressure on him, he will fold. He sits in the pocket and he wants to get these short throws. He may throw a pass to Devontae, back shoulder. But other than that, he doesn't really move in the pocket. He wants to just do what he's familiar with doing, and that's good to a certain point. But the best quarterbacks in the league, they excel in multiple other factors than that will their team to win games. And he just cannot do it, and that's okay. Just retire. You feel me? And he's throwing his teammates on the bus. I really don't like this. We look at all these other great quarterbacks in the league. Like, have you ever seen Patrick Mahomes throw his teammates on the bus? Have you ever seen Josh Allen throw his teammates on the bus? Joe Burrow has had one of the all-time great seasons. This year he's having that. Joe Burrow actually may end up with like 40 touchdowns and like 8 interceptions, and they're still not gonna make the playoffs. Have you ever seen Lamar Jackson do that? Justin Herbert? Like none of these great quarterbacks throw their teammates on the bus like how Aaron Rodgers does in these post-game interviews. So he has to hold himself accountable because he has not played well. And I will say this, the roster defensively has disappointed me very much since the firing of Robert Saleh. Sauce Gardner, I will call him Ahmed for now. Ahmed Gardner has not played to his All-Pro status that he's been playing to his first couple seasons in the league. He's disappointed me very gracefully. The defensive line is not good, and the defense as a whole hasn't been good. Now I will say this: Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall have been really good young spots on this team. I do like Braylon Allen, the backup power back that they have. I do like him. So Aaron Rodgers has weapons. I don't want people to be like he doesn't have weapons, and he has Devontae. So for him to just be underperforming and his team not to be doing well is a disservice to the organization, and for a team that has not really won much outside of Joe Namath in Super Bowl III, guaranteeing the victory. And Joe Namath is one of the most overrated quarterbacks I've seen in my lifetime. But I actually didn't see him, but he's one of the most overrated quarterbacks of all time. But for them not to win anything since then, and for them not to even step the playoffs since 2010, that is insane. Every other team in the AFC East has been in the playoffs since that time period, and the Jets have not. So, like Aaron Rodgers said, this franchise might be cursed, and he's on his way out of the NFL. I honestly don't know what team gives him a spot after this, because if you're looking at it like this, who wants an aging 40-year-old quarterback who can't win you big games? Honestly, and I don't even want to be disrespectful to other quarterbacks in the AFC, is he's not better than Tua at this point of his career. So why would I respect him as, a guy who's won 4 MVPs who can potentially get back to that level? He can't get back to that level. Aaron Rodgers had a late resurgence in his career in 2020 and 2021, but after that, it's pretty much gone downhill, and he has not looked like the same player since those years. So, Aaron Rodgers, it honestly may be time to hang it up, and I think it's time to hang it up. Now, if he doesn't, I would not be surprised. He has a big ego, but it's time to hang up the cleats, man. It's time to give up football, and it's time for the Nets KG music to come in.
Yeah, man, Aaron Rodgers. Let's see, where do I even want to start? Let me go ahead and read off some stats of one Aaron Rodgers. He's 13th in yards with 2,966. He has 20 touchdowns and 8 interceptions and a QBR of 51.4. Now, brother, the hell am I looking at? Like, are we serious? Aaron Rodgers, as far as a leader, I haven't seen it. Every time, every game, like, this hasn't changed. Every time I look at Aaron Rodgers and it's a bad pass or something goes wrong, he's always looking at everybody else except for the man in the mirror. It's always somebody else's fault for something that he may do wrong. And like Caleb said, Garrett Wilson was butt naked open. I'm seeing this dude jumping up in the air, asking for the ball. And Aaron Rodgers, the great Aaron Rodgers, misses him. And then what does he do next? He throws a pick. If I want to go ahead and say anything, that's the biggest piece of washed product that I've seen. It don't get any better than that. And Devontae Adams, I do got something to say, brother. You made a really bad choice of going to the Jets. Like, I know this is your guy, but brother, you made a horrible choice in going to the Jets, because if you would have stayed with the Raiders, and even though the Raiders doing bad, you could have got Shedeur Sanders. Could have throw up the Shedeurs. I mean, y'all would have been improving, but you decided to go where your boy was, and that's not turning out good so far, and it won't turn out any better. And honestly, we're probably going to see Aaron Rodgers leave the Jets, probably similar to Brett Favre. I like how Shannon Sharp was always comparing them two and their past, like they both got their ways out of Green Bay. Brett Favre got his way out of the Jets and went to the Vikings. I definitely don't see, Aaron Rodgers doing that, because Sam Darnold's over there cooking. So that's raps. I don't even see him going to another team, because who would want a 40-year-old quarterback who's not even a leader, and then he's not even producing. He couldn't even have a better season than Zach Wilson. Are you serious? You're supposed to be one of the best throwers of all time, and you can't even have a better season than Zach Wilson. Like, you have Breece Hall, you have Garrett Wilson, you have Devontae Adams. Like, you have a defense who's technically ranked 4th in the NFL, even though they have been playing up to their best ball. Like Sauce Gardner, Ahmad Gardner, they're supposed to be an all-pro. He's an all-pro his rookie and sophomore year, and now turn around this junior year, and he's playing like ass. He's just playing horrible. Like, what am I seeing? I mean, he's been getting called for multiple holding calls, multiple pass interferences, which, I mean, he was already doing like his first 2 seasons, but it just wasn't getting called. But now this season is being exposed, and I know he got long arms and stuff, so that's really, exposing that. But I mean, this team, ever since losing Robert Saleh, I mean, they just been downhill. And hey, Rob, I know you probably chilling, sitting on the couch, smoking a cigar, drinking, laughing, smiling with that big smile on your face. I would be too, because Aaron Rodgers, he wanted to get me up out of there, and look where that got him. And you can't blame it on the coach. So that's out the waters. So it's only one problem. The dude that's supposed to be the leader, the one that has, the championship, he has the championship qualities, I guess, and he's the one that's supposed to have the experience. So they're looking at him to get there. And if that's what we got to look up to, then I'm not going to respect you, because if this is how you going to treat us as a quarterback, as a leader, and the guy with championship experience, then there's no respect. In order to get respect, you have to give it. And right now, I'm just seeing a dude who, he's won multiple accolades. And if things aren't going his way, it's just like, it's not my fault. It's their fault because they haven't been in my position. They haven't done what I've done. No, when it's not like that at all. Tom Brady at 41 doing this. Tom Brady was still taking accountability for stuff. And I'm still never going to forget how they started off this offseason in the summertime where he was, over here going on vacation instead of, joining with his team when he didn't play with them last season because he tore his ACL. Now I do get that tearing your ACL will change, your game in some parts. We can see that in Kirk Cousins as well. Because, brother, Kirk Cousins ain't playing like trash, man. That arm, it's not looking too good. But yeah, we can see they can, change you in some ways, but that impact hasn't been that bad because this dude is 40 years old and there's multiple times where this dude be trying to run like he's, in his 20s or something, even though he's not even he's never been a fast quarterback. But this dude at 40 years old is trying to run. Like, are you serious? If you run across that field, brother, you getting smacked. Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, all these greats that we're supposed to compare him to, they weren't doing this towards the latter part of their careers. They weren't, bashing everybody else and huffing and puffing about, oh, these guys aren't doing what they're supposed to do instead of taking accountability. No. And like I said about Tom Brady, when he first got to Tampa Bay and the championship was on his mind, what did he do? He got in the lab with those guys in the offseason. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Leonard Fournette, Antonio Brown, all those guys, Rob Gronkowski. And they worked. They worked as a team because they had a goal at a championship. And this was a team who just had Jameis Winston the prior years. And what Tom Brady do? He came in there, he beat Patrick Mahomes and won the championship. And Aaron Rodgers, buddy, you got what you want. But you decide to, bounce your defensive-minded head coach up out of there, and look where that's got you. It's gotten you nowhere, and it's going to continue to get you nowhere. So unless his attitude changes, his mindset changes, which I don't think it will, unless that changes, we won't see good things happen for the Jets. They will continue to look bad. Their quarterback will continue to, underperform. And the fact that he just now threw 300 yards in over 1,000 days is like horrible. That's really bad. For someone of his stature, like, I can't believe that this is seriously what I saw. Man, something's going to have to change if the Jets want to, improve on things. And it's going to have to start with Aaron Rodgers. I think it's best that they go ahead and get rid of him. He's just rotting for them over there. He is a terrorist out there. So if I'm the Jets owner, I'm getting rid of him. And I'm looking towards the draft, maybe to get, I need to figure out, where their draft picks is. But if they got a high draft pick, I'm looking at maybe like Quinn Ewers, something like that. But, this quarterback class isn't all that. But, they're going to have to get somebody else because Aaron Rodgers is not going to do it for him at all.
That's why I said they're in one of the worst positions in sports. They don't have a lot of options, man. And you made a great point about Devontae Adams. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys may not know because we haven't had, when we talk about the Jets, we're mainly talking about Aaron Rodgers. We haven't had an opportunity to talk about Devontae Adams, but he's one of my favorite receivers of all time. He is just really bad at making decisions, like figuring out where he wants to go. It was a pretty emotional decision for him to leave Green Bay and go to Las Vegas. He really did that based on the fact that they didn't want to give him a certain amount of money, which, by the way, is not 100% accurate. He still could have gotten a big bag, but Las Vegas gave him a bigger bag, which I respect. I understand. But don't complain about quarterback play. And he's complaining about him not being able to have these opportunities. But you're going to play with Aaron Rodgers for what? Because you had some chemistry back in the day? As Jay said, that man's 41 years of age and he had an Achilles injury. He's not the same. And Devontae Adams had a few games of data to see that he wasn't the same, and he still decided to go over there. So I can't ride that bandwagon anymore. Devontae Adams, he's a great talent in my opinion, but situations like that will prevent you from getting to the Hall of Fame. Now, I do think that he is a Hall of Fame caliber receiver, but it's harder for receivers. So mistakes like this are big blemishes on your resume because he's never going to get a championship. and he's exiting his prime. My question before we cap it off, and hopefully we can keep it brief, because I do want to get Buffy's opinion on this, is I've already said that this is the worst situation in sports. Where do the Jets go from here, Buffy?
I believe they have to enter like a full-on rebuild, and I think what they have been doing is a soft rebuild. Now they did realize they had, and this is why coaching matters so much in the NFL. You know, you can have talented guys, but you have to have guys who like that motivate these guys. So not only do you have to draft well, you also have to find pieces who can coach these guys well. And you can see that in the diminishing level of their defense. They really need another defensive guy. That's why I think they shouldn't have got rid of Robert Saleh, because he was kind of a defensive like genius. If you think about it, their defense was really, really good when he was there. Like last year, they had what was like the best defense in the league. So, you have to make a full-on rebuild. Get rid of Aaron Rodgers. Honestly, I get rid of Devontae too. Just, try to move him out. You just want to honestly build between Garrett Wilson, and I know you really don't want to build between a running back, but Breece Hall is a really good running back, and he's at a pretty good age, so you kind of want to restart with that. But Aaron Rodgers, he's pretty much on his way out. As what Jay was saying earlier in the draft, I'm honestly not hot on Quinn Ewers. I think he folds under the pressure too much, and he gets easily fooled by disguises in defense. And I don't like the arm talent. I don't think he has much arm talent there. So I don't think he's a interesting prospect to kind of swing my hat on. I honestly be more interested if they look forward to a guy like Jalen Milroe or even like Jackson Dart in the draft. Some guys like that. I just don't think. I'm just not really into Quinn Ewers. But there's definitely places they can go from here. But Aaron Rodgers kind of did set them back a couple years in their development, because honestly, even with Aaron Rodgers, do y'all think this team would have even made the playoffs? With Aaron Rodgers coming back to form, in the latter years in Green Bay, I don't really think so. I don't think they would have been able to, contend, with the Dolphins and the Bills in that division. So I don't really see what was the point of this. And it's kind of funny too that going into the year, these guys were getting hyped up. They were saying that, they were going to contend with the Chiefs. When the Bills lost Stephon Diggs, and the Dolphins had their little playoff issue, in the cold weather against the Chiefs, it was really, hey, Aaron Rodgers coming back, maybe we're gonna get that 2020, 2021 Aaron Rodgers back. We haven't gotten it, and honestly, we hadn't even gotten a shell of that. We've gotten just a below average quarterback, and that's what Aaron Rodgers is. And his numbers for the season look great. He's throwing, he has almost 3,000 yards passing, 20 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. But the situational play has just not been there. And I think he's like 0-7 on go ahead winning drives, something like that. So he has been terrible in the clutch. And Aaron Rodgers, and I know people just look at his record, but he has been good in those situations prior to this season. So when he was good at being in the clutch. So for him to just kind of lost the magic, I think it's just over for his career. So he's done, and I think the Jets need to move on from this entire experience.
Yeah, I agree with Buffy. It's definitely time for a rebuild. I think they should focus on those young talents they got in Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. I think the defense will be all right as long as they bring in a defensive-minded coach. Do y'all guys see them possibly, bringing back Robert Saleh? Or you think he gonna be like, nah?
I've heard this. This is rumored, no report. I've heard talks about them bringing back Rex Ryan.
Interesting.
I'm curious as to what you guys think about that. And all accounts, he wants that job.
Interesting.
Buffy, what you think about Rex Ryan coming back? Because if we think about modern Jets, Rex Ryan, they would be in the Patriots in the postseason. So, and that's defensive minded. So I think that he could probably do a little bit more with that defense. Now, the biggest thing, my concern would be the offense is still an issue. You have to resolve that. You're not beating teams and being competitive. Well, you can be competitive, but you're not beating teams getting in the postseason just with defense. So the quarterback situation will have to be resolved. But if we want to have an easy fix to that defense, Buffy, I think that Rex Ryan could potentially solve some of those issues.
Yeah, he should. I mean, I think honestly, when you look back on the historic aspects of it, the Jets haven't really been a competent team since Rex Ryan was coaching that team. And those teams in the 2010s, like 2010, 2009, with Revis, those were competing teams. Like, those were really good teams fighting. They went to the AFC Championship game. Like, and for the quarterback talent they had, it was really remarkable. So for them to get Rex Ryan back, I think would be really, really great. I think they need some order in this franchise. This franchise doesn't have a lot of order, and I think Aaron Rodgers messed it up, like trying to be chaotic. Like this nigga's acting like 2008 Heath Ledger Joker and just wants to destroy everything. It's like, god damn, bro, you coming over here to restore order, back to Super Bowl III. You feel me? Like, that's an old ass time ago. It was like in the 60s. So Aaron Rodgers, he just failed, man. He just failed to do his job, and it's kind of gonna look sad because Aaron Rodgers to me is a top 2 quarterback, just based off of talent that I've ever seen. Like, I think him and Patrick Mahomes may be the most talented quarterbacks of all time, and Aaron Rodgers still just has one ring for it. Now, my point earlier in the video, I think it still stands, but dog, like, even after 2019, he had some playoff collapses that he just did not play well. So it's unfortunate, but the Jets, they just have to move on, man.